now. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am T. Grace, and this is the first of what is hoped to be a series of, I don't know what the fuck this is. My first guest for today here, Sid Jones. We will be discussing, well, essentially the downfall of society. Now, you saw the video that I sent you the other day, right, Sid?
I did, and actually it ties in with a lot of things that I've written.
Oh, yeah?
I've actually got my book here, Valles Mala, which is Latin for Evil Valley.
Right.
And there's some dark, grim shit in here. I think this book actually ruined my relationship because of how dark and grim it is. But it's not wrong.
So, for people that are actually kind of lost right now, this particular video is talking about the different mass shootings that have been taking place over the years. And for a little bit of history context, the first official public shooting happened in 1890, and I believe it was with a rifle at the time.
Shotgun, I think.
Okay. Now, as time progressed, in recent years, we're basically having one shooting almost every 2 months. It seems like.
Listen, man, people live and die every day. I carry my Glock 20 with me, chambered in 10 millimeter, with an O-light, and it has killed so far 0 people. Now, if I set it down, it's not going to move. It's going to stay there, because that's what guns do. They're a tool for self-defense. Sometimes hunting. You can actually hunt with this. I can go take down any animal that I'd like with my pistol. If it's got a heartbeat, it will die. So, in Canada, they wanted to put a ban on rifles and pistols and things like that. Now, they said they didn't want to go after the farmers and the hunters and the what have yous. But one of the weapons they wanted to have banned was a simple hunting rifle. Not an AR-15, your standard bolt-action hunting rifle is what they wanted to ban. But people want to blame guns for shootings. How is it that me, who's a gun owner, have shot 0 people, and I've been carrying for quite some time? Humans, ever since the dawning of man, humans have been shit. The world's a dark and grim place. Matter of fact, I got some evidence to back that right here. This is from my book Valles Mala, which, by the way, very depressing. It should come with a suicide awareness message at the end of it.
That's something that I'm trying to advocate for, actually. I think that has a lot to do with the factors into this is the mental health standards that goes into this. Because if you look at the statistics, it's always somebody that's dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, some form of schizophrenia.
All right. Let me educate you on something. Life isn't fair. It's a fucking cesspool of lies, suffering, and agony. Then you die. It's what you do in the meantime that makes it all worth it in the end. On your terms, not someone else's. If you live by someone else's rules, you're going to be right where you are right now, stuck in misery with no way out. Just some pills to take the edge off. And when they're gone, it's back to a fucked reality.
Fuck that hit a nerve.
My dad taught me a lot. He essentially wrote the book on how to thrive in a shitty world. It's not money or fame. It's all about having fun at someone else's expense. Your dad sounds like the kind of guy that not a lot of people would get along with. Not a lot of people cared for him. Fuck him. I just want out. To which Sid replied, yeah, I know. We all do.
So
People are going to do heinous things. They're going to commit heinous acts in the name of whatever God or cause or belief or faith or bigotry or racism, whatever the case may be, people are going to cause harm. In New Zealand, one of the worst mass murders in the fucking world happened in New Zealand, where they weren't allowed guns, so somebody went in and knifed a bunch of people. You can't stop a guy with a knife? Killed almost 100 people with a fucking knife. And how do you get that kind of a kill? And this is what baffles me. People are like, this is the worst mass shooting. It's always like 33 injured and 4 dead or some statistic like that. And I'm like, that's low. That's a failing grade. There was a kid in Indiana. He shot an armed assailant who had already killed 3 people and was planning on killing much more, loaded with magazines to the brim with an AR-15, and this kid had a Glock, shot him at 40 yards away, a moving target, shot 10 rounds, 8 hit the intended target. That is a better ratio than these mass shooters when they're like, this is the worst mass shooting we've seen. This is the worst mass shooting we've seen. Because it's recent and your attention span is met at best. People are going to do shitty things. How many women get raped every day? How come we're not talking about those numbers? And these people that say, oh, let's not use firearms, let's get rid of them, are also the same ones that are pro-abortion as a fucking apology by saying, hey, sorry, we don't allow you to defend yourself, especially in the state of Michigan where you have to have a permit to have a taser, pepper spray, stun gun, whatever the fuck. You can't even have bear mace in the state of Michigan. It's a stand your ground state that's watered down and diluted, which gives it the opportunity for rapists to do their thing against women because they aren't going to be armed.
Calm down there, Kier.
Why won't this stay up all of a sudden?
No, you mentioned one of the. I don't really want to call it a mass shooting because a knife was involved, but it happened in New Zealand. But that made me think of something. Over in Britain, if I'm not mistaken, they have one of the most strictest gun codes in the world, and a documentary that I saw actually said the crime rate increased because of the last.
So, fun fact about people though, statistically speaking, they are more apt to running away from somebody who's got a knife than they are somebody who's got a gun, which is weird. But if I find out that I'm in a place where there's no guns, I'm more apt to committing a crime. New Hampshire, we have stand your ground, and I mean the whole shish kaboom. We don't even have knife laws in the state of New Hampshire. We don't have knife laws. An EMT went to our local legislation and said, hey, I can't save a life with a switchblade if I'm off duty. To which Congress, instead of making a law to kind of fix that or adjust it, they're like, let's just get rid of knife laws altogether. Boom. Anybody can own a switchblade, stiletto, fucking butterfly knife, whatever. Okay. In New York, that's a felony charge to have any of those, including a butterfly knife. Do you know why those are illegal knives to have?
Because they're easily concealable?
No, it's because of the intimidation factor. It's how quick the blade can come out of the handle. Listen, I can still slit someone's throat with a box cutter. And I can just whip that thing open just as quick as whipping open a switchblade or a stiletto or whatever. I pull it out of my pocket. It doesn't even have to be it could just be barely out of the pocket. I flip that thing open, and guess who's going to have a bad Saturday night? You see what I'm saying? People who want to do evil will commit evil. There are shit people in this world. There are bad motherfuckers out there, dude. Women have suffered every day. There's how many fucking rapes a day? How long does it take for that to happen? And then we live in a world where there's somebody who can pull a gun on somebody. They go to court, and they're allowed to leave. They're allowed to leave. They can be bailed out. And like there's this whole thing in Illinois where they're like, hey, we're going to get rid of bail reform and make it so that way. Up to second-degree murder. Up to second-degree murder, you can be let out at almost no cost. now. This is a purge law.
And
guess what's illegal in Illinois?
Right. It seems like the times that we're living in now seems very, like you said, very perjurous. It's
We suck the cocks of people who do evil shit. The local legislation, governments, human fucking beings. Let's show compassion to the woman beating fucking junkie. Let's show compassion to those that are gunning down motherfuckers, raping women. Let's give them a second chance. Listen,
yeah, it is.
I lured a guy into Bidwell Park in Chico, California, because the cops wouldn't make an arrest because I didn't ID the guy properly because I used Facebook instead of black and white photos that were that fucking big. And I went and got my confession from the guy. I did the cops' jobs, and they were going to make it admissible in court. There was no legal repercussions that I had to face. There was nothing. Fucking nothing. I put a knife to that dude's throat, threw him against a brick fucking wall, got my confessions, and the detective did fuck all to me and did fuck all for the case. 5 years go by. 5 years go by, and suddenly they have an interest in the case again, and then just to drop the charges. And not because of what I had done or anything to that fact. I was their material witness. I chased that guy out of my apartment and down the street.
I can't help but notice a bit of a paradox here. People say that, such as that case, that they usually do it because they want more money, but the paradigm exists when if you're not locked up, they don't make money off of you. So that can't be the reason why things are so backwards.
Things are backwards because we show compassion to shitty human beings, because shitty human beings share our oxygen, and because we live in a society of victims and second chances. You want the truth? You want the leading cause of mass murders? It's gun-free zones, and it's giving compassion and fucking letting people skate by. We have the death penalty in this country. It's a state thing that the state can decide whether or not it's death penalty state. We put 3 people to death. 3 people to death in 1 year. 3. How many people are on death row? How much tax is that taking up? You know what you do? There are barely over 3,000 great white sharks left on this planet that actually contribute something to this world. And there's 7.6 billion people on this planet with far more on death row, far more people in prisons that have committed unspeakable acts. We should be flying helicopters over the ocean in shark-infested waters, slitting throats and throwing the bodies in there so the sharks have fucking food, so that way they can repopulate and we can have more fucking great white sharks. So that way we can fix the ecosystem and we have less pieces of fucking shit that roam around with us, that share our oxygen. In Florida, there are some of the worst people ever. You have seen the headlines. You know it's a Florida man that did some cunt fucking thing stupid. Meth, also very prominent down there. We should save the canines, save the dogs who don't have a say in what they do as far as a career goes, who are shot dead by criminals. We get alligators, hop them up on fucking meth, send them into the fucking meth labs, give them cocaine and send them. And people are like, well, that's a bad idea. We saw what a bear can do on cocaine. Look at what happened to that prick. We could use nature. Alligators are a problem in California, or in Florida rather. Fine. Give them coke and send them into the fucking meth labs. They'll find their way out. And guess what? You're going to start seeing drug crime plummet real fucking quick. Hey, man, feds are here, so dump everything down the toilet. Okay, man. Or, hey, man, there's a fucking alligator that's ripping everybody to shreds. And they're like, fuck, we're getting out of this business. There you go. 2 drug dens shut down.
I think this episode just went from rated G to rated R.
You invited Sid Jones onto a podcast. Did you think it was going to be family friendly?
Touche.
Like, I'm not sure what you were expecting from me. But listen, I implore people to do this. Somebody does wrong, publicly ridicule them. Keep doing the cancel culture thing. Take that away. Okay? Get rid of that from celebrities and put it towards your everyday motherfucker that's a piece of shit, and put them on blast. what happens when there's a celebrity fucking ban or canceling or whatever, right? Like an ousting. Here's what happens. They lose momentum fast, and they've got this fucking goldfish fucking attention span. Like blood on the dance floor, blood on the dance floor, blood on the dance floor. Onision. Marilyn Manson. What happened to Marilyn Manson again? Where's that case at? Where is it? Oh, right. You guys lost interest in it, so you stopped talking about it.
Well, even on that note, more realistically speaking, Flint still has shitty water.
Right, and that's the thing. They said that the Flint water crisis is over, but listen to me. Even if the crisis was over, somebody came out and said it's safe to drink the water, right? Somebody came out and said that. My thing would be, why are people still not drinking it? Because they don't trust the government. There's no trust because humans are shit. You could be a politician, you could be a scientist, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, or whatever the fuck. But we don't trust people because people are shit. Humanity sucks, and this is where we're at.
So between finances, mental health, homelessness, and just trying to make an overall statement, would you say there's ever actually one underlying cause behind all of this?
Yeah, human fucking beings. People being people. There you go. I fucking came up with it. Look at me go. Where's my Nobel Peace Prize? Where is my discovery in electricity moment where people are like, what is the root cause? People. Shitty people that you let loose. Shitty people that you turn informant on, which, by the way, they get caught and then they get killed, but usually by guns. So guess what that means? Gun crime rises because you put an informant out there who's sweating bullets, who can't put on a game face, and died because he was trying to preserve his life, his pursuit of happiness. He was trying to get by, okay? And then you've got prostitutes that you're not maintaining, you're making it illegal for, when if you made it legal and made it so that way they had to go and take their AIDS tests and their STD tests and things of that nature. If you were able to do right by these people, guess what else happens? Crime lowers. Look at what Colorado did just after legalizing marijuana. Crime dropped, right? Because guess what? There's no more illegal drug dealers. So crime is going to go down. Like, by default, why are we not legalizing shit, taxing the fuck out of it, at least making it so we were taking the deficit just a little bit better, where we can actually kind of, like, I don't know, balance the fucking budget.
You just made me think of a question here. Do you think, either positive or negative, whichever way you want to go, do you think it would ever actually make any kind of difference if we were to take away the not the right to bear arms, but like the having to have a license to own a gun? Like, you could just own a gun without a license. Do you think that would have any kind of impact at all?
Yeah, look at New Hampshire. Go look at New Hampshire's crime rates as far as gun violence, right? And with this knowledge, we have constitutional carry. You can privately sell your firearms, which means if you come up to New Hampshire, I can legally sell to you. Now, you can't buy a pistol through a gun shop out here if you have an out-of-state ID, but you can for a rifle, because when you get a pistol, which, by the way, you have to be 21, it's actually state background check. When you get a rifle, it can be at 18, but you get a federal background check. So if you're going to be delayed, your best bet's to buy a rifle and a pistol, because then you only go through a state check. So there's little things like that. And look at, we don't have gates and fucking iron bars on our fucking windows. Hell, I forget to lock my front fucking door.
Yeah, over in Canada, actually, another document that I saw, this guy did an experiment. He went over, I think it was Montreal or something like that. I can't remember. And he would just go up to random houses and open the doors to see which left their doors unlocked, and every single door was unlocked.
Yeah, now, but did you hear what happened in Detroit when he did that shit?
What's that?
There was a door, and this is why Michael Moore it should not be considered a documentary guy, because he left out a lot of things. Like, do you remember in Bowling for Columbine, which is the same documentary you're talking about?
Yeah.
So, the bank thing where you open up an account and you get a gun, that was not a real thing. You get a rebate to go and like a thing or whatever to go to a federal place, like a licensed firearms store.
Yeah.
And you go and put in that voucher and you get a discount on a gun. Not just go to a bank and they'd hand you a gun. That was all staged. That was all a prop and shit. He got busted on that. Now, the other thing that people forget is what happened outside of that documentary that also wasn't filmed was there was a door that was unlocked in Detroit and he damn near got fucking shot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you don't do that in Detroit.
But Michael Moore did get something right. I'm going to give him props on this because he was right on something. There was another documentary he had done, okay? I can't remember which one. I think it was Where to Invade Next. I'm not sure. It was either that one or Capitalist: A Love Story. I'm pretty sure it was Where to Invade Next. And there was something he covered that I thought was absolutely brilliant, and it's true. We wouldn't be in this mess right now that we are currently in had it been not for the Democrats, not for the liberals. See, Trump didn't win the election in 2016. Hillary Clinton lost. Because here's what the Democrats did. It started in North Carolina, okay, at the DNC. I watched because I couldn't wait for them to announce Bernie Sanders to go head-to-head with Donald J. Trump. I was hoping for that and rooting for that. I would have paid money for those debates because it would have been close, fucking close. But here's what happened. Bernie Sanders wasn't the safe bet in the eyes of North Carolina or whatever. Domino effect, okay? Remember what I said in my manifesto? In my manifesto, I said it's called squawking. One squawks, they all fucking squawk, and they don't know why. Liberals are like this. Here's proof. At the DNC, North Carolina stood up and said, "We want Hillary," and everyone went, "Hillary, squawk, 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 fucking squawk." And so Sanders, who was the betting fucking champ, he was the guy that was going to win it. Because Hillary was a woman. Because people wanted to see Bill Clinton back in the White House.
Yeah.
Forgetting about Benghazi, forgetting about the fact that Hillary Clinton once said, "Never waste a good tragedy." That came out of her fucking mouth. That's something she has actually said. Nobody wants to pay attention to that. Nobody wants to remember Benghazi. Never mind the fucking internet servers and emails and shit. Like, fuck that. Benghazi. Somebody coming out saying, "Never waste a good tragedy." Basically saying, your family died. Loved ones died. I'm going to go ahead and pillage that story. I'm going to use your victims to fucking to go into legislation, to fucking pass bills. Okay? That's what she said. That's what the Democrats and the liberals did. Remember after Sandy Hook? What Obama do? What did Barack Obama do? Brought in all these victims, signed a bill, and was shaking their hands because it was a publicity stunt, not because he actually gave a fuck. This is the same guy that the night that he got his Nobel Peace Prize announced that he was going to start the drone program. I went, irony.
The drone program?
The first black president knocking it out of the fucking park.
It almost seems like out of a movie.
So what happened is the liberals lost. They cried because they backed the wrong horse. 20% of Bernie Sanders supporters, you got undecided voters, first-time voters. You've got people that were disenfranchised that rooted for Bernie. Well, what happened is you burned the Bernie supporters, you burned them, and they went and voted for Trump to spite the party because you fucked up. Now, Trump is not innocent in this whole thing, and I don't like Trump either. I didn't vote for him in 2016 or 2020, and I got a few reasons why. The big one was his lie. That even the Republicans and his followers, the Trump supporters, will all go, "Shut the fuck up, cunt." Because what happened is, through the whole thing against Hillary, lock her up. And he said he was going to put her away. The first thing he said when he went to that podium and he won, because I watched because I thought he was going to fucking send out the fucking politicians in cuffs one by one and impeach all of Congress and throw them in prison. You want to arrest politicians? Do it, my guy, and I'll vote for you in 2020. The first thing he said was, "I'm not going to arrest Hillary. She's been through enough. What the fuck, guy? Like, I couldn't wait. And the second thing was, I loved his fucking cabinet the first go. His first run of cabinet, which, by the way, also included Linda McMahon. Yeah, Vince McMahon's wife. Yeah, people didn't know that. She was going to be Secretary of State or Secretary of Treasurer. I think she was Secretary of State. Don't quote me on that.
And Trump
had an original pick.
No, I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, see, this is why I'm the politician, guys. This is why I am officially announcing on your show that I am running for president in 2024. Someone's got to make America great again. Someone's got to make America make sense again. No, can we do that? Make America make sense again. Mamza, I think is what that would come out to. Mamamza. Well, something like that. But anyways, let's make America make sense again. Let's do that. Let's start with consistency and keeping promises. Listen, politicians have committed crimes, all of them. They've committed war crimes. If they signed a bill that got innocent people killed, I hate to tell you this, that's a war crime. You contributed in that fact. You get to go to prison. End of fucking story. There is no debate. Done. What happened at the administration when this administration fucking pulled out and caused all that fucking chaos in Afghanistan and armed the Taliban, armed terrorists, so that way in 10, 15 years, guess what's going to happen? Another September 11th. Good job, Biden administration. Well, that's the one thing that Trump wanted. Yeah, but he wanted to do what Obama wanted to do. What he was trying to do was take 5,000 soldiers out at a time. But what Obama kept doing was 5,000 out, I'm going to send some back. 5,000 out and send some back. That's what he just kept doing.
That's what's pissing off a lot of the president because he was never remaining consistent.
Right. So now you got people like AOC, and you've got these people that'll make it so that way. You know, Joe Biden gets his dick stuck despite the fact he can't get erect, so they take fucking forever. And you've seen AOC. If she had an OnlyFans, man, she'd be president in 2024. I'm a gentleman, I swear. Ladies, call me. I'm officially single, so call me, ladies. You know. Yeah. So anyway, my whole point to this thing is that this gun legislation where they're like, hey, we're going to arm Ukraine because guns are good for Ukraine. We're going to arm terrorists by leaving all of our shit there. Probably even maps to where our fucking nuclear silos are out there. Good going. By the way, on that shouldn't come back and bite us in the ass in the next, decade or so. But disarm Americans. But in New York, if you're a bodyguard and here's the thing, a celebrity of some kind and you've received death threats, guess what? They don't talk about what it takes to be a celebrity, but me being a public figure doing what I do, technically speaking, I've gotten death threats and I'm a public figure. Therefore, by New York's law, I should be able to have a firearm. Now, when the abortion thing happened, when that got overturned, and then they basically made it so that way, what New York was doing was actually against the Second Amendment, was actually a violation of your right to bear arms, which people stopped talking about that all of a sudden. New York put in different restrictions. Now, Michigan's got the same thing. You can't carry concealed in Detroit. There's certain areas where you can and cannot carry, which means I'm driving down the street with my buddy. We just got back from the firing range. I took a wrong turn and got lost. Pulled over. Smells like weed in the car. Like, sir, I don't even smoke weed. If you trust me, you should watch my podcast. If I smoked weed, there'd be problems. But then all of a sudden, it's like, well, you're carrying a gun in this area, so now we actually have to arrest you. And it's because I passed the city limits sign. What it is, it's creating more criminals because crime increases because you caught a person breaking the law, making them a criminal, so crime rate increases. So your gun control actually increases crime on that line too, when you've got law-abiding citizens, which, by the way, I don't consider myself a law-abiding citizen because I jaywalk, which is a misdemeanor. And I can get fined up to $5,000 because there's a bakery across the street from where I live. Legally speaking, I have to walk a mile and a half that way or a mile and a half back to go on a crosswalk to cross the street. Yeah. I'm not doing that. So if I want to go to the bakery and get my fat ass a donut, I'm going to go get myself a donut, get my energy drinks, good for the day. But that's technically a crime. Now, here's the kicker. If I'm caught committing a crime while carrying a gun, guess what? Yeah, you guessed it. I'm royally fucked. Yeah, which means gun crime actually increases as well. So if you remember the pandemic, 2020, couldn't conceal carry because masks were mandated. You can't carry a gun while you wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so crime once again increases. So when people there's been an increase in gun crime because of your laws, mate. Gun crime doesn't mean shootings. You see what I'm saying? Gun crime, because you're making it that way. If I sneeze north at 12 o'clock in the afternoon while I've got a pistol, I've committed a felony. I'm talking to you, Portland, Maine. I'm talking to you, Chico, California. I'm talking to you, Detroit, Michigan. I'm talking to you, Lansing, Michigan. Gretchen freaking Whitmer, who is a woman who is made it that way. A woman cannot defend herself against a rapist.
Who, by the way, won the election.
Yep, and guess what? She's pro-rape.